everybody, my name is Melissa and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my top 5 books that I read this winter. This is a video series that I've done previously for summer and for fall, and I'm finally getting around to doing the winter months, and I'm super excited to be doing that. I have 5 books that I want to talk about. These are paranormal romance, fantasy, romance, all of that kind of stuff. Basically all the goodness I have to talk about. So let's go ahead and get started. The first book I'm going to talk about is the only non-physical book I have on this list, and it is Credence by Penelope Douglas. When I heard that she was coming out with a new book, I was so excited. I put this on my most anticipated books of 2020 without having any idea what the heck this book was about. I knew if it was by Penelope Douglas, I was going to pick it up and read it immediately, and that's what I did. This is about a girl named Tiernan, and she ends up being an orphan at the age of 17, a couple months shy of being 18. One of her parents has cancer, and they're super rich, famous people, and basically they don't want to live without each other because I think it's terminal cancer, and they end up committing a suicide together. So she's left all alone in the world, and she ends up going to live with her step uncle, who she hasn't interacted with at all. I think she knew of him but has never really met him, or her step cousins, I guess. They're not actually family blood relations. So this is a type of reverse harem in the fact that this girl, Tiernan, has a relationship with all 3 of the men that live in this cabin. So there is her uncle, there's her 2 cousins, and each of these men are definitely, you know, very tropey. You have your age gap romance with the uncle, you have your bad boy, and you have like the friendly guy who has a little bit deeper emotions that he hides and projects through, you know, being funny and all those types of things. So I really enjoyed this book a lot. So this is very atmospheric. You have, you know, they are up in a mountain in Colorado, and they go on hikes and different things like that. And basically they're getting ready because during the winter months, they get snowed in and they have to make sure everything is ready to go for that time. So I really did enjoy this book a lot. If you like isolation romances, mountain men type things, all of that is here for you as well. A lot of people, I did hear a lot of complaints about one of the characters, and she has this type of way where she says no, but she really means yes. If that's a trigger for you, definitely be aware that this is in it. Personally, I just kind of went with it. Obviously, this is not something that, you know, is realistic in any way, so I took it with a grain of salt and really did enjoy this book a lot. I'm pretty sure I read it in a day, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. It is a wonderful book. I really did enjoy it. And yeah, if you're looking for some steamy romances, Penelope Douglas definitely delivers with this one. It is definitely the most boundary pushing that she has written so far, and I really did enjoy it, if I haven't said that already. So the second book that I want to talk about is a male-male shifter romance. If you don't know what I'm talking about yet, that is Wolf's Song by TJ Klune. This is a book that I absolutely adored from start to finish. I loved this book so much. I gave it 5 stars. Obviously, it's on this list. So TJ Klune identifies as queer, and definitely I really did enjoy reading a book that wasn't written by females as a male-male romance, because this in no way makes it feel like it's a fetish. The romance in this book just feels very organic, and the reason for that being is you start off when Ox is a young boy, and you see him growing up in all the different stages in different ages as well. So I really did enjoy that from this book, and being able to grow up with Ox, our main character, and see his perspective and where he comes from and why he makes the decisions that he does. So Ox is kind of a loner. Basically, he kind of keeps to himself. His father was a deadbeat. He was an awful dad, and really he just has his mom to really be there for him, and she's working a lot all the time. So one day he's walking home to his house, and he runs across this young boy named Joe, who immediately takes a shine to him, and he basically just, you know, takes him under his wing. Joe is one of the sweetest characters, and I loved him so much as well. This is an age gap romance, and the romance doesn't start till much later, until they are both adults, so don't worry, it doesn't have anything like that in it, which I really enjoyed. So you see Joe growing up from 10 years old to 20, and you see him and how much he grows as a person and all the trials and tribulations that these characters have to go through. So Joe actually reminded me of Honey from the Ouran High School Host Club. I've been trying to say that forever. And Ox reminded me of Mori. So if you've ever read the manga or if you've seen the anime, definitely they just reminded me of that for some reason. And I was here for it because I loved it so much. This is a very heartwarming story where Ox finds a new family, a place where he feels loved and cared for. And it's just so wonderful, like a found family aspect in this book. And I really love that trope as well. And basically coming to terms with who they are and what they can be. And it just, oh my gosh, the growth of these characters through this book is absolutely amazing. I ended up reading this book in 2 days or 24 hours in total. It was just that gripping to me, and plenty of action and lots of love, lots of heartbreak. I definitely cried a bunch in this book. I'm not gonna lie to you, I shed a couple tears, and I just, oh my gosh, I can't wait to read the third book and the fourth when it does come out, I think in October. So I apologize if things have moved around on the screen. My card was full and I had to delete some footage and my camera got moved around. Anyways, you don't care about that. The third book that I want to talk about is one that I read for Smuttathon earlier this year, and that is A Lesson in Thorns by Sierra Simone. This is a book that is super smutty. It's dark, it's wonderful, has great representation that I was definitely here for. This is about a girl named Poe who is narcoleptic. She also is dealing with the loss of her mother, who has suddenly disappeared. She doesn't know what happened to her, and she gets called back to Thorn Chapel where she was at when she was a young child. She went there with her parents and her parents' friends, and then all of their children were there during, I think it was like a summer. Basically, they spent their summer there. Something happened and all of the parents dispersed, took their children with them, and she hasn't seen them since. So this is a very interesting book. It has an underlying mystery with the disappearance of her mother. This is also deals with, she is a librarian, so she gets called back there to work there in the library and catalog and repair the books in there. So I really enjoyed seeing that. I loved this book. It was so steamy. It delivered all the great goodness. So this has different representation of races. You have plus size, you have, did I say bisexual? There's a polyamorous relationship. All this stuff is in here, and I was living for it the entire time. I loved this book and devoured it so quickly. It does leave off on a cliffhanger, so I ended up recently picking up Feast of Sparks, which is the second book, so I can't wait to read this one because the way this one left off, I needed the second book as soon as possible, and I finally was able to get it. So my most recent read that I have on this list is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. So this is one that I feel like a lot of people are giving a lot of hate to. Basically anything that she writes, there is a huge polarizing community. A lot of people like it, a lot of people don't, but honestly, I am here for anything she writes. Pretty much I love all of it. This definitely follows the same kind of pattern that she writes in all of her books. A lot of her books are very similar. Her characters are very similar. I acknowledge this. Hunt is a fallen angel, I believe, and then you have, what's her name? Bryce, who is a half human, half fae. So this is a very interesting book. It deals with fallen angels. It has other characters as well. There are werewolves, there are fae, there's ghosts and spirits and things like that. It is set in a city called Crescent City, and there's different areas in the city, and this is very political as well. The whole city has different politics, and you know, there's hierarchy involved as well, and I really just enjoyed this book. So I do have to say, if you're going into it, the first 100 or so pages is very info dumpy. It did not need to be like that. I absolutely agree, but it's the mystery as well because her best friend ends up murdered and she's trying to find out who did it, and she's paired up with Hunt, who is the fallen angel, so obviously sparks will fly. This is an extremely slow burn romance as well, and honestly I was like, maybe I don't need the romance in it, but when things finally started happening, I was like, all right, I'm here for it, sign me up. So once I put this down, I was like, I need to read more fantasy. This book definitely put me in the mood to continue on with reading fantasy, and I absolutely appreciate it and love it. So definitely, if you're thinking about picking it up, it is a rather long book. I think it's like 800 pages, but definitely worth it. I had such a great time reading it, and you know, put me back into the reading mood because I was very slumpy in the past 2 months, and this definitely brought me out of that. So definitely a great Sarah J Maas book, and I definitely enjoyed it a lot. So the very last book that I'm going to talk about is one from a genre that I don't really read too much about, and that is No Exit by Taylor Adams. This is a thriller that I loved. So basically it's about this girl who's driving home from college. Her mom is ill. During the holidays, she's driving home to see her, and she ends up at this rest stop because something happens to her car. I think her windshield wipers end up going out or something crazy. So she ends up at this rest stop, and there's a couple people already there. On her way into the rest stop, she sees that there's this little girl in a cage in the back of the van. So she gets inside, and anybody of those people that are in there could be a kidnapper, and she doesn't know which one. So this entire time she's trying to figure out who it is. It's full of action. This book gripped me like no other. I really felt the cold from the outside. I felt nervous. I was worried. My heart was pounding the entire time. Quite honestly, I really did enjoy it. I don't really read too many thrillers, but this one definitely had me hooked, and I loved it so much. So if you're looking for something that is very atmospheric, if you're looking for something that you really feel the cold from the outside and you're really worried and wanting to like really want these characters to, you know, survive that night, you know, this is definitely one to pick up. It was very good. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching my favorite top 5 books of winter, and I am very excited to do this for the spring as well and all of that good stuff, because I've been reading a lot of really great books lately. But like I said, it was really hard to narrow it down to 5, and if you want to go check out my Goodreads or my Twitter or my Instagram, it's definitely where I post like what I'm reading, when I'm reading it, as soon as I finish it, all that good stuff. Go ahead and check. My links are down below. But if you've read any of these books or have any thoughts or opinions, I would love to chat about it, talk about it in the comments down below. And I hope you have a great day and happy reading. Bye!